Hi, my name is Sabu Francis, and I'm an architect by training, by passion, and by profession, but I'm also a software developer. When internet came to India in 1996, and eventually I really got involved in a lot of projects on the internet, also along with my practice, I started realizing that here is a nice opportunity which architects never really had before. Architects had to work with the rarest of rare raw material, which is space. And space, as you know, is not something which anybody can create. Space just exists. So when a builder comes and says, here is a parcel of land, and that's a volume of space into which you design as an architect, you have no choice but to get subservient to that particular builder or whoever who is owning that parcel of land. And there's a lot of problems which is pretty well documented amongst architects and theoreticians of what happens when private people own land, and there's a whole set of issues which erupt because of that. Not just that by nature, when something is rare and then you have to work on that rare material, and once that work is done, that work gets locked over there for years together, right? A building will not get demolished the next day after it is made, right? So there is no way somebody else can come and use the same raw material, that means the same volume of space, and then give another alternative. You can do that with soap. So if somebody says that here is a soap and that starts becoming popular and it is there on all the shop shelves, some other person will say, okay, I'll make an alternative to that soap, and therefore regular users can go to that shop, and in the same space and time, both the alternatives are practically available for that person to decide which soap to choose. But that's not the case with architecture. You cannot stand in front of a plot of land which has got a building over there with a remote and say, okay, I will now enter this architect's version of that building, and no, but that I didn't like, so I'll now enter that architect's version of the same building on the same plot. It's not going to happen. So because of this, there's a fair amount of built-in bias towards exploitation of the knowledge of architects. And I've seen this happen again and again in many situations. I teach architecture. I've been teaching for the last 30 years. And I've seen the best of students who really know the subject. They come into practice and the projects are really not worth it. And there are many factors at work, but I think one of the root factors is the fact that space cannot be created, and you cannot build into the or design into the same volume of space multiple times. You have to wait till that building disappears, it gets demolished or kind of fades into the dust or something like that, and that can take years. Sometimes it can take centuries, and till that time that whole project is creating a lot of havoc around in the environment. Now when internet came in 96, and then I realized there is this concept of space emerging there, and that proved to be true. And that's what this pandemic has made it dramatically clear. We are all stuck individually in our individual houses. I am right now alone in my house here. My parents are somewhere else. My children are in separate apartments, and they're all conserved pretty well. I hope you are also safe in these times. And in such a situation, we still need to exist as humanity, right? And humanity has always worked in space cooperatively with each other, seeing what people are up to and what they are doing and things like that. In 2016, I had given a talk at Assam, at Guwahati, for Galloper Talks, where I had discussed that why not we use this as an opportunity that the internet has created a new kind of space, and we architects actually should really be the first people who should be there and bring in theories of architecture and how space needs to be handled and things like that, and we need to go and actually start offering our intelligence in this particular subject. So you can look that up separately. You can Google my name, Sabu Francis, and search for Galloper Talks. Guwahati, you will get that particular YouTube video over there. What I want to talk about today is that this pandemic has suddenly made this whole thing extremely like right up in our face, and we are actually need to start understanding how the hell do we really live on the internet. There are teachers and students struggling with this concept. Zoom calls are getting made. People are using all kinds of software to see whether they can really reconnect back the way humanity used to. But what has happened is 30 years is possibly a very short time for people to get the conceptual depth of a absolutely new topic. That what is this new space? Youngsters are very, very imaginatively hopping onto that new continent above us. They are uploading files. They are actually living that layer over there inside that. People are getting upset at that the blue tick mark did not come on that WhatsApp message, and some person is crying about that. Some parent is saying, I sent a message to my daughter, but she's not replied. The tick marks are not become blue, and these kind of things is the end effects of not clarifying the concepts over there. So I will try and make a few of these videos which talk about the internet as a space and how architectural concepts need to be really brought in over there. Why I say this is because remember a long time back in the US, it's a massive piece of land over there, right? And when the people came in after Columbus and all that events which happened over there, they had plenty of space. It was almost like the internet, and people used to, there were stories about the Wild West, and the term wild was because it was truly disorganized or non-conceptualized situation there, pretty much equivalent to what is happening on the internet. People are putting up all kinds of apps and websites and whatnot to see whether they can corral that piece of land and say this is mine, and people need to come here and then enjoy the benefits here, and it's literally like a wagon trail of people going there and settling down and saying that okay, this piece of land is mine and that piece of land, and then there are fights over there and all kinds of things. Basically, when humanity faces new concepts, and if those new concepts have to come into society, and if you don't work through it right from its fundamentals, we will be recreating a lot of issues which the regular world spaces are facing, right? I mean, I just told you that just because space is a very rare raw material in the real world, it's leading to natural exploitation. I mean, that builder will say, okay, you don't want to design because my wife had given a suggestion and you got annoyed, so I won't give you the project, I'll go to another architect. Now the architect, what does he do? He will say that okay, now what do I do now? I had some point to make about this project, but that builder's wife had her influence over the builder, and he said that you have to paint it purple or whatever, like. Okay, so this is quite natural in the real world, and there's a whole ripple effects which this creates. You have bad cities, congestion, you have bad handling of climate, energy crisis, ecological disasters. People just pave the land around the building and the water doesn't seep in, and any intervention at such a fundamental level, if they are not thought through, and if there's some exploitation, there is going to be chaos. So a lot of things which happen over the last few centuries, like traffic accidents, pollution, global warming, all these things are because at some point you can point the finger to bad architectural concepts. And this needs serious rectification, and really fast. As it is, we are dealing with real bad intervention in the real world. Now we have another space which is emerging there, and I am seeing that there are really bad interventions which are happening over there also, because whenever there is some kind of virgin land or any kind of virginity which is there, the first set of people who want to come and influence and try to make some money out of that would be pretty shallow people who are just looking at the tangible things which they can exploit. That's it. Where do these app developers and all really talk about conceptual depth and whatnot? Today we have one adolescent who wanted to compare quite a chauvinistic thing of comparing ladies' faces. It started like that. It's now become a very important part of our lives. It looks like that's Facebook, right? I mean, look at the absurdity and the shallowness of the thought which went into it. And Facebook, by the way, uses architectural concepts like the wall and kind of reflecting on the fact that when we visit various countries and on our travels and we return back, we put curios on our walls in our living room, which becomes our status symbols and our conversation starters, and kind of establishes our hierarchy in society in a very crude way. That is getting now reflected on Facebook and devices like that. Twitter came from a very, very straightforward commercial discussion on, okay, we were earlier doing audio podcasts, but now I think Google or somebody started making audio podcasts, and the Twitter people said, okay, I don't think we can really compete with Google, so let's see what do. And that's how Twitter was born. And then people do post hoc rationalization on top of that and say, you know what, it's got this kind of concept and let's see what is happening, So a lot of things which is happening on the internet, I call them as some, in Hindi we say, right, तीर मार के देखता है like, and see what happens, and oh wow, this happened, oh now let's use it for this, and things like that. So in effect, what we are doing is that if we do not debate and discuss in depth about how do we really manage the spaces on the internet and what kind of architectural concepts should we really put up over there, we are going to go up shit creek for sure. And in one sense, this particular pandemic has been, as they say, has been a shot across the bow. It's like a warning signal that this is just a taste of things to come. We are all stuck in our individual places, and we have no way but to use the internet to converge once again as humanity and make sense and do all the things which humans did to survive. So this is actually a survival moment here. If we don't get this part right, we are going to create a cascading set of effects which is going to spoil our future generations for sure. A few days back I read about one poor schoolgirl. She got so depressed because she didn't have a TV at her house in Kerala, and all the online classes which were getting displayed on the TV and internet devices and all that, she was not able to receive it, so she committed suicide. I mean, look at the kind of warped situation we are in. People are actually relating to that experience of using the internet as if something real is happening. And for the youngsters, it is a very real experience. We should really sit and think about this. We as adults who have actually got some amount of knowledge and experience need to debate what the heck is going on the net. So there are several topics which I've been researching on for several years now. I did several experiments on what are the perceptions of space on the internet, how do people look at space on the internet, and there are some very, very risky assumptions like virtual reality, for example, or augmented reality. These are all like the potential of doing something, and therefore we do it. I mean, we don't really reflect on that. Okay, what is the conceptual need to get in there? Like I'll give you an example in terms of automobile industry, and we are unfortunately saddled with a huge set of problems which the automobile industry came up with. When the automobile industry started, some of you may know this, the first set of vehicles were actually electrical vehicles, but they used to go very, very, very slowly. Not particularly exciting. They were used for transporting milk and all. These were the first set of cars and trucks those days. In fact, they were used quite a lot for trucks. I mean, it was not a small thing. It was not a weak thing. It just drove little slow, pretty slow actually. Then came the internal combustion engine, and then people are more worried, not more interested in knowing that engine and see how best we can drive that engine, and how can we drive that faster, and how can we drive that even more faster, and all that excitement and that hubris which that created became such a fanciful thing that nobody thought that, do we really need to go that fast? Do we really need to go that particular this thing? I mean, there was this horrific accident which killed, I think, more than 70-80 people in France in 1955 in one of those motocross event where they were racing cars and 24-hour race and all that. I mean, that's crazy. Like, people didn't wake up. They didn't say that, you know what, we need to really think through. Instead, people are saying, oh, you know what, oh, we got this carburetor that can make the engine go faster. Almost exactly the same thing is now happening on the internet. People are saying, oh wow, we can do virtual reality. So we'll just take all this stuff and put it on thing, and people can dance around and put those goggles and whatnot. Humanity is facing serious conceptual crisis here. I mean, there are real major crazy things happening because of all this bad thinking which led to our crazy world, and architects are at the forefront of being that. Unfortunately, we are the guys, we are the fall guys, I would say. I mean, really good architects doing bad shit all over the world, and they come back and say, now what do I do? I mean, that wife of that builder is told that this is the way it has to be done. That's it. So in this situation, there are some really important points which I need to talk, and I need to express that so that it starts a conversation and we start asking ourselves, what the heck are we doing about the conceptual depth which we need to know what the hell is the internet? I mean, this whole last, after the Lehman crisis of 2008, a lot of these rich guys, the oligarchs as they call, they actually seemingly have got together, and they are even manipulating governments all over the world, and buffoons are being appointed in Brazil and Australia and England, and telling all kinds of weird things. I recently saw a very parody of something which Boris Johnson was telling, which looked very similar to a parody on Arnab Goswami, which somebody did here in India, and I'm dumbstruck that the situation is so similar in so many different countries. And how did all that happen? Because of proliferation of fake news and exploitation of the internet, and this creating this artificial sense of accuracy and credibility. All you have to do is spread the right meme and people get, oh, okay, I got this pattern which you are giving in front of me, and this is what I will now believe in. And that, I think, some of the devious guys know how to do it, and we need to give a counter response to that. And there has to be a fair amount of debates and discussions about how the hell is the spaces on the internet and the activities on the internet actually getting architected, if that is such a word. I mean, that's a word which the computer guys keep using, architecting software and all that. So this is just an introduction of why I am so worried about the internet. There are several topics about credibility, authentication. There is a very important topic on what I call as serendipities versus manipulated accidents. That's the kind of term which I'm using. So probably in my next talk about this, I'll raise this point about actual serendipities and manipulated accidents, and why are they different, and how that is playing a big part in the way we are getting influenced. in one sense, this pandemic is actually pretty useful, because it's like okay, we better start thinking about how do we live in this new space, right, on the internet. And it is both a challenge and an opportunity, actually. It's like, nature has thrown this whole topic up right in our face, and this topic cannot be now ignored. It's right there, and we need to really go into the conceptual depth and argue out a lot of things, and whoever who can influence whatever which is going on, actually exercise that influence. Okay, I think I've spoken enough for now, and hope to see you in my next talk about this topic of the eighth continent. Thank you so much. I hope all of you are safe, and I hope we all come out of this really as much better human beings. Thank you so much.